I understand that problem.
Right. My
In
bangs are evil. I also like trimmed them, but I didn't trim them well, so they're like, we hate you now. I will fix this by curling you. And they were like, that did nothing.
I understand that problem. My
Only
hair
made us
actually is
angrier.
doing a thing today that I quite like, but the other day it woke up and chose violence, and there was just nothing I could do.
Oh goodness. Oh, I um I was trying to find a way to tell random strangers at the event today that the Kickstarter was almost funded, and I couldn't find a way to make that not be really disingenuous. But then after it was like after 5 o'clock that the woman I'd been painting faces alongside was looking at something and she's like, oh, my daughter, she does this great artwork. We love frogs so much, and she does these really cute frogs. And I was like,
You don't say.
gosh, can I
Frog.
show you the frogs from, oh my god, it was like
Ah, love an opening.
oh. The other conversation of note that was hilarious at this event today was that this gentleman was talking. Oh, yeah, he said he liked my style, and I said thanks. I was going Hobbit style, and he was like Hobbit or Harfoot, and I was like show blah blah blah. It was just conversations, and I said something about Celebrimbor cast as an old guy, and um, he was like, was he though? And I was like, yeah, and but I haven't seen Círdan, and he's like, it's pronounced Círdan, and I'm like, I don't think it is. And then my attention got distracted, and when I came back, he had vanished.
For the benefit of the internet, the last 5 seconds is what happens growing up as Robin's sibling because she always times shit like that when I'm drinking water.
And part of me was irritated because it felt like one of those conversations where someone's trying to chat you up and you don't realize it, and then they're like, oh, you're not chat upable, and then they just leave abruptly, and I'm like, I was enjoying this conversation. Dare you fuck zone me.
I hate that.
Right?
Although I usually don't realize that's why they left, and I'm just like, huh, well, that person's gone. All right, what's that?
I'm
Um,
wearing my wedding band, so maybe he
your
went, oh.
wedding also doubles as a defensive weapon if they don't get the message.
I also have to remember to turn it like this if I want to do this gesture that I enjoy so much.
And how many times did you stab yourself before you learned that?
You're not knowing. No one will.
See, if I had a ring like that, I do a lot of this, so I would just have big stab wounds on the bottom of my chin a lot,
That's why it's
or like
nice to
over
have a
here.
floofy chin.
I
Something
mean,
else
I have
happened
I
today,
have
and I
some
can't.
chin flute, but it would still hurt, I think.
Oh, I started a conversational ball in a Facebook group that I had no idea would do what it has done. And it was I knew you would appreciate it because you know how we used to, when we were bored, like on road trips, compare authors to meals.
I don't specifically remember that, but it definitely sounds like something we would do.
Right? And I think that was also a game that I played at Denny's, like, to while away the hours in the smoking section, just like and I gave 3 examples. I was like, Pratchett is like eating the world's best club sandwich, like, everything's familiar, but it's the best version of all of it, and it's all put together in a new way, and you're eating it on a balcony overlooking the Mediterranean, and it's just happy and fresh and delicious. And I was like and I did this in the Sandman group. And I was like, Neil Gaiman is rare steak and Pinot Noir consumed in a library at midnight. And
Hmm.
I can't remember what the third one was, but I was like, and keep it going. Yeah, hundreds of people, authors I've never heard of, but now I want to read them because apparently they're like sushi.
I mean,
Right?
can't go
And
wrong with that.
some of them are so funny. Um, oh shit, I don't have any of them ready. talk amongst yourselves for a moment, because one of them had me laughing my ass off.
See, I just started today reading Sylvia Moreno Garcia, Certain Dark Things is the name of the book, which is a
Ooh.
Mexican Gothic vampire novel. And I would describe that as an extremely trendy, expensive cocktail made with a lot of mezcal, served with a side of street tacos. But also, like, the plate is lit up by neon from underneath.
Nice.
I'm really enjoying it.
That is yes, that is exactly the kind of thing. Oh,
It's a great book if anyone's looking for a vampire novel for autumn time and you watch this within the next 3 months. I recommend it. Or even if you don't.
apparently Christopher Moore is like a peanut butter and bacon sandwich. Sweet, salty, and kind of offensive sounding to some, but absolutely delicious in a guilty pleasure sort of way.
Yeah, that tracks.
Oh, I said Tolkien is a Thanksgiving meal, and apparently some people have shitty Thanksgiving meals.
That's unfortunate for them.
Right? Because I'm like, no, you don't know. They're like, no, he's more interesting than that. And I'm like, Jason spends 4 days constructing 17 dishes from scratch. This is Tolkien as a meal.
Yes. Yeah, I think it's specifically the Thanksgiving meal that your husband makes and not the Thanksgiving meal that many people make, which is
Right?
like, mashed potatoes from a box again this year, I see.
Oh. Stephen King is like a never-ending breadbasket, but not in a restaurant, just in some random unsettling place. Except for the times when he's like a single loaf of exquisite gourmet bread produced by the world's best baker, but still it's somehow unsettling. And there's always a child in imminent danger, and you're not sure whether eating the bread or not eating the bread will help the child or is even relevant.
I've read so little Stephen King. I think the only thing I read was Lisey's story, and I would describe that as biting into a Twinkie, only it's full of bugs. So,
Ew.
didn't like that book.
No. J.K. Rowling is like one of those Indian sauces you buy in a jar. It looks exotic, but it's actually derivative and kind of tasteless and likely to leave a bad taste in your mouth. And there's so few repeats. L. Ron Hubbard, Carl Sagan, Christopher Paolini. Christopher Paolini is the end of term meal collectively prepared for parent teacher night by all the kids, and all the dishes are unimaginative and familiar, but extravagantly praised because the youngsters did their best. Oh man. And there's some where I'm like, I don't disagree, or I don't agree with you, but I will not argue with you because that's not the point of this. There's only been 2 people who were like, I don't like your descriptions. And I'm like, well, I don't like your face. And someone actually deleted that comment when I made it because apparently it was offensive.
Is it less offensive if you say I don't like your mom's face?
Bobby Duke, in a picture, he was wearing a Pink Floyd, The Dark Side of Your Mom t-shirt. Where the hell were we? We were not here.
No, we were not. We got to some place. Oh,
Right.
before you start reading, I just want to show off. This is my tie-dye project that I told you about last week.
Oh,
Ta-da.
yes. All right. It worked.
It worked. It
It
looks
looks awesome.
intentional. I mean,
Yeah.
you really can't tell that much on camera that the background is also green, but the background is also quite green.
Nice.
And like the sleeves worked, and they only slightly made small patches of black on the, where is it? Hang on. On the bottom of the shirt, right there. So, yeah, it went well.
Brilliant. Love it. Where the fuck are we?
Don't know.
Oh, we hadn't gotten to the point yet where Aragorn is about to bitch about the guy who runs the House of Healing.
We had not. Oh, I need your opinion on something. I've been working on the lanterns, which
Yes,
are coming along lovely, if I do say so myself.
they're
But
gorgeous.
this one is giving me a bit of a bother.
The one with the that you're already working on? Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like the pink and purple are not blending. What do you think?
I think they do. I think they look all right. It's maybe it's not blending as well as some of the others, but
Yeah, like
but
I
I
feel like
like the combo.
okay. Maybe
Yeah.
I'll put some purple in this line that doesn't have any, and that'll like spruce it up a bit.
Yeah. Because right now that line looks very flat.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, I only have two pinks, and they're almost the exact same color. So I think I'll try working in some more purple and see if that works because I know the purples blend nicely.
Right? Or put yeah, if you have like a lighter purple so that it's not too homogeneous.
The only light purple I have is this color.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that would
So
do.
yeah, I have two pinks and two purples, and that's what we got to work with on it. But
Amer promote the halfling. Is that where we were?
um, I think
To
so.
help and to hope. To health, sure, but to hope I do not know. Does that sound
Yes.
about right? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Gandalf and Pippin came to Mary's room, and there they found Aragorn standing by the bed. Poor old Mary! Cried Pippin as he ran to the bedside, for it seemed to him that his friend looked worse, and that a greyness was in his face, as if a weight of years of sorrow lay on him. And suddenly a fear seized Pippin that Mary would die.
Gasp.
So there's something about the Hobbit relationships that I'm feeling ambivalent about, and I want to run it by you. Like I
Yes.
love that canonically they're all just hetero life mates.
Mm-hmm.
They're best friends. There's nothing romantic or sexual about it.
Mm-hmm.
They just get to show each other affection and emotion, and that's a very healthy thing to show straight little boys. Like here's something to aim for. You don't have to act like
Yes.
yeah.
You're allowed to have friends.
You're allowed to have friends, and you're allowed to be affectionate with your friends
Yes.
in non-punchy sort of ways. And also, the other side of that coin is these guys are all really, really adorably gay, if you want to see it that way.
Mm-hmm.
And they're also really good examples of gay relationships.
Mm-hmm.
So, is it the old woman, young woman optical illusion? You see whichever one you need to see in the moment, or what?
I think it's an excellent opportunity to embrace the ambiguity of stories and the fact that they can be read either way. And yeah, how you read them and what you get the most out of depends on what you need in that moment.
Yeah,
But both of
that's
them
why I
can be
keep coming
really
back to them.
beneficial. Hmm?
That's why I keep coming back. I don't know why other people do, but it's like I'm different every year, so the book reads different every year.
And that's, I think, what sets apart a really rereadable book from one that you read once and you're like, okay, done with that.
Right? That was
Um,
fun, but no. Yeah.
yeah, definitely. Side note, I think the purple helped. I don't know if you can really see, but
Yes, yes it did.
yeah.
Yeah, it was just the flatness of that one line that was a problem.
Yeah, and like I don't think it's making a particularly pretty color, but it at least looks like a shape.
Yeah.
It is shaped, which is what I needed it to be.
What did you lose?
Cap of my water pen.
Oh. Do not be afraid, said Aragorn. I came in time, and I have called him back. He is weary now and grieved, and he has taken a hurt like the Lady Eowyn, daring to smite that deadly thing. But these evils can be amended, so strong and gay a spirit is in him.
Look, a strong gay spirit can amend any evils. Also, um, my immediate thought when you said something about the deadly thing was, I believe in miracles. What is wrong? You did a thing.
Ah, his grief he will not forget, but it will not darken his heart. It will teach him wisdom. Then Aragorn laid his hand on Merry's head, and passing his hand gently through the brown curls, he touched the eyelids and called him by name. And when the fragrance of Athelas stole through the room like the scent of orchards and of heather in the sunshine full of bees, it's full of bees!
He's covered in bees!
Covered in bees! Suddenly Merry awoke, and he said, I am hungry. What is the time?
Ha! Love a hobbit!
Past supper time now, said Pippin, though I dare say I could bring you something if they will let me. They will indeed, said Gandalf, and anything else that this rider of Rohan may desire. Fetch him the wenches. No, I'm kidding.
Look, no one said he couldn't be fetched the wenches.
Anything you like. No. If it can be found in Minas Tirith, where his name is in honor. Good, said Merry. Then I would like supper first, and after that a pipe. At that his face clouded. No, not a pipe. I don't think I'll smoke again. Why not? Said Pippin. Well, he probably didn't ask it like that. Sorry. Why not? Said
Why not?
What? Well, answered Merry slowly, he is dead. It has brought it all back to me. He said he was sorry he had never had a chance of talking herblore with me. Almost the last thing he ever said. I shan't be able to smoke again without thinking of him. And that day, Pippin, when he rode up to Isengard and was so polite. Smoke then and think of him, said Aragorn. Don't quit. Oh my god, dude.
Get super baked and cry about it. As is healthy and right.
For he was a gentle heart and a great king and kept his oaths. And he rose out of the shadows to a last fair morning. Though your service to him was brief, it should be a memory glad and honorable to the end of your days. Merry smiled. Well then, he said, if Strider will provide what is needed, I will smoke and think. I had some of Saruman's best in my pack, but what became of it in the battle, I am sure I don't know. Master Meriadoc, said Aragorn, if you think that I have passed through the mountains and the realm of Gondor with fire and sword to bring herbs to a careless soldier who throws away his gear, you are mistaken. If your pack has not been found, then you must send for the herb master of this house, and he will tell you that he did not know that the herb you desired had any virtues, but that it is called Westman's weed by the vulgar, and by the noble, and other names in other tongues more learned, and after adding a few half-forgotten rhymes that he does not understand. Salty much, Aragorn, honey?
I can't imagine why you'd think he was salty.
What was that?
I said I can't imagine why you would think he was salty.
Right. He will regretfully inform you that there is none in the house, and he will leave you to reflect on the history of tongues. And so now must I, for I have not slept in such a bed as this since I rode from Dunharrow, nor eaten since the day dark before dawn. Merry seized his hand and kissed it. I am frightfully sorry, he said. Go at once. Ever since that night at Bree we have been a nuisance to you. But it is the way of my people to use light words at such times, and say less than they mean. We fear to say too much. It robs us of the right words when a jest is out of place. I know that well, or I would not deal with you in the same way, said Aragorn. May the Shire live forever unwithered. And kissing Merry, he went out, and Gandalf went with him.
Too much water! Too much water!
No! Mop it up!
Ah, there we go.
Scrape it off, Jim.
Oh dear, I may have to take a break on this one.
Okay.
It's been
1 week since you looked at me.
What's that joke? You go into the confession booth, you say, "Forgive me, Father, for I have sinned. I can't stop singing 1 week by the Bare Naked Ladies." And the priest says, "How
How
long
long
has it
since
been
your
since
last
your last
confession?
confession?" And you go,
It's been. Pippin remained behind. Was there ever anyone like him? He said. Except Gandalf, of course. I think they must be related. My dear ass, your pack is lying by your bed, and you had it on your back when I met you. He saw it all the time, of course. He just really needed an excuse to bitch about the master of the house.
"Look, to be fair to Aragorn here, that dude was kind of an ass."
Oh, he was terrible. And anyway, I have some stuff of my own. Come on now, Longbottom Leaf it is. Fill up while I run and see about some food. And then let's be easy for a bit. Dear me, we tooks and brandybucks, we can't live long on the heights. No, said Mary, I can't. Not yet, at any rate. But at least, Pippin, we can now see them and honor them. It is best to love first what you are fitted to love, I suppose. You must start somewhere and have some roots, and the soil of the Shire is deep. Still, there are things deeper and higher, and not a gaffer could tend his garden in what he calls peace, but for them, whether he knows about them or not. I am glad that I know about them, a little. But I don't know why I am talking like this. Where is that leaf? And get my pipe out of my pack if it isn't broken. Aragorn and Gandalf went now to the warden of the Houses of Healing, and they counselled him that Faramir and Éowyn should remain there and still be tended with care for many days. The Lady Éowyn, said Aragorn, will wish soon to rise and depart, but she should not be permitted to do so if you can in any way restrain her until at least 10 days be past. I'll fetch a rope. As for Faramir, said Gandalf, he must soon learn that his father is dead, but the full tale of the madness of Denethor should not be told to him until he is quite healed and has duties to do. It's awkward timing at that point. I mean, I know what he means, like something
Stuff to
to.
distract him, yeah. So he can't just lay around and feel
But I'm
sad about his dad.
picturing him like dealing with the soldier payroll or the I don't know, plumbing issues in the Citadel and have someone come up to him and be like, by the way, your father didn't just die. He tried to kill himself and you, and when he was thwarted, he set himself on fire. So here's the rest of the paperwork. Bye.
I mean, presumably it wouldn't be just a random schmo. It would be Gandalf being like, "By the way, your father didn't just die. So
Yeah.
here's the rest of the paperwork. Goodbye."
Oh, and then what if it's the kind of thing where everyone knows except Faramir and someone just brings it up in a meeting?
So awkward.
So
Everyone's like, "Shut up, Greg.
fucking Greg.
Imrahil, we told you, just serve the drinks."
Yeah, watch there's some kind of like food being served flambe and someone makes a Denethor joke and Faramir's like,
What?
what? Except it's Faramir, so you know that his intuition will have told him, and if anybody else ever tries, he'll be like, I know.
I
I
sensed as much,
I
for I
sensed it.
am perfect.
I am perfect. I had a dream. A dream when my father came to me and he said, I wish my daddy hadn't liked Thorondil better than me. We would have had a very different relationship. I set myself on fire. Bye.
I feel like you and I perhaps have strange expectations of how people deliver news based on how news is often delivered in our family.
So, daughters, I have cancer. Here are the treatments I'm going to go through. I should be fine. Pass the peas.
Mm-hmm.
I love you, Dad. but that was weird.
The terrible thing is that's also how I have learned to deliver news because I didn't realize that he didn't know I was queer. So I said something about a date I had been on, and he was like, "Oh, sounds like she thought it was a date." And I was like, "It was,
It
Dad.
was.
I'm bi." And we were in the middle of a pizza parlor. I thought it was date time.
I mean, these days it's kind of news when you find out your kid isn't queer.
It is,
At
I
least
mean, in our family,
in our circles, yeah.
but also Gen Z. God love
Oh,
them. They're so queer.
it's true. And Time got their ADHD assessment the other day, and I had to be there for the interview part of it, like to fill in gaps. They don't know a lot of things about their early childhood and stuff, and I was telling some of the stories. Um, and nodding or shaking my head, usually nodding when they were telling their own stories, and I was like, um, the reason they never got in to have this assessment done when they were small is because I am really shitty at executive function when it comes to bureaucratic stuff. Something.
So there's a very common thing that happens
Yeah.
when someone's kids are being assessed for things, which is that they also end up being assessed for the thing.
Yeah. Yeah. These things are genetic more than likely. And yeah. I'm like, yeah. Anyhow.
Anywho.
Oh. So yeah, don't startle him. The full tale of the madness of Denethor should not be told to him, etc. See that Beregond and the Perion who are present do not speak to him of these things yet. And the other Perion, Meriadoc, who is under my care, what of him? Said the warden. It is likely that he will be fit to arise tomorrow, for a short while, said Aragorn. Let him do so if he wishes. He may walk a little in the care of his friends. They are a remarkable race, said the warden, nodding his head. Very tough in the fibre, I deem. I have always wanted to describe someone as tough in the fibre, I deem. It doesn't roll off the tongue if you're not in Middle Earth.
Indeed. Right? I'm like, I've always wanted to be tough in the fiber, but unfortunately my joints are made of silly putty, so I am the opposite of that. Sort of floppy in the fiber.
I deem it so. Loose in the fiber, I deem.
That just sounds like you're calling me slutty.
That's not your fiber.
You don't know. Don't judge my fiber.
Wait, so if that's the fiber, and Mary's tough in it.
I think we've gone back to him being gay, yes.
Yeah, okay, good. Or secretly a girl.
Look, their gender is hobbit.
Yeah. Oh. At the doors of the houses, many were already gathered to see Aragorn, and they followed after him. He's got groupies. And when at last he had supped, men came and prayed that he would heal their kinsmen or their friends whose lives were in peril through hurt or wound, or who lay under the black shadow. And Aragorn arose and went out, and he sent for the sons of Elrond. Together they labored far into the night. And word went through the city, the king is come again indeed. And they named him Elfstone because of the green stone that he wore, so the name which it was foretold at his birth that he should bear was chosen for him by his own people.
Except that it wasn't, because it was foretold at his birth, which is why he wears an elfstone, because it's his name.
Yeah. But they didn't know that. So they think that they are exercising free will.
This is the problem with prophecies. This is why somebody says they're an oracle, you should have a stalk in their mouth. Tell them to keep it to themselves.
I can't tell you how many stories that have that loop around effect make me think of Oogway the turtle saying, "You are quite likely to meet your destiny on the path you take to avoid it."
I mean, that's the whole Greek tragedy thing of like the actions that you take to avoid your destiny are the things that get you to your like.
Yeah, like if you
That's why
hadn't
it's
done
called
that,
doom
if you hadn't
sometimes.
tried to avoid it, Galadriel says very much the same. The mirror is perilous as a guide to deeds because some things never come to pass unless you avert your steps to seek to stop them. And it's like, thank you.
Lovely, thanks for that.
Yep. Also, Elfstone is a stupid name. I'm just putting that out there.
You're right. It is. It's like calling somebody t-shirt.
Yeah, right. Hey, he's wearing a brooch. We should call him Brooch.
Did you know that some people pronounce that word brooch?
I did not know that. I know that's how it's spelled. I didn't
Yeah.
know anyone said it that way.
I was watching someone on YouTube who was like, and this is my collection of brooches. And I was like, you're right.
My, are they tough in the fiber?
Yeah, apparently some I and it made me wonder if I was right or if they were right, but then I never Googled it. But I assume it's us because it sounds less stupid.
Yeah, yeah. No, that is a thing. Um, yeah. It's also so the brooch that Galadriel gave him is in the shape of an eagle with a barrel in it. So they were
Yes.
like, "What should we call him? The eagle or the barrel?" Little semi-precious. It's an elf
At,
stone. Let's call him Elfstone. Like
at least they didn't
eagle and
call him Beryl. That sounds like a British woman from the 40s.
stuff.
Who's that then? King Beryl.
Oh, there is a marvelous, terrible character in the Around the World with Auntie Mame, whose name is Beryl Green. But she goes for most of the story. She goes by her fake name is Hermione, Lady Hermione Gravel Pit, and it's hyphenated. And there's extra. It's so good. But anyway,
Anyway, back to
so
King Beryl.
Elfstone, own people, chose his stupid nickname. And when he could labor no more, he cast his cloak about him and slipped out of the city and went to his tent just ere dawn and slept for a little. And I'm picturing the crowds that were following him around, like racing around the city, like a scene in an early Beatles film.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes, headcanon accepted there.
there we go. And in the morning, the banner of Dol Amroth, a white ship like a swan upon blue water, floated from the tower, and men looked up and wondered if the coming of the king had been but a dream. We've still got 15 minutes officially. We're doing all right. We made it to the end of the chapter.
Hey, look at that. Good for us.
The last debate. At least no one delivers the line, a diversion.
Didn't we find another really stupid line that someone said last week, though?
Oh, it was. I can't remember what it was, though. I would have to go back and look. Good thing they're recorded.
Ooh, that gave me a work flashback.
Oh, dear.
We record all our meetings at work.
Yeah.
It's great. You
Doesn't
can
sound
watch
like
a procession of terrible hairstyles depending on how early in the morning the meeting is. One time we were talking about people coming to interview, and one of my coworkers was like, "Yeah, at least this guy like showed up in a suit, looked like he brushed his hair." And then she and I just looked at each other. We were like, unlike ahem.
fun.
Anyway, we just did the
Anyway.
Spider-Man meme, and then we went back to talking.
One thing that is funny to me or interesting, it bothers me. They talked after the Battle of Helm's Deep about what they did with the bodies, how the Westfold men were laid here, and how the other Vales, all the men were laid in another joint grave, and then all the orcs were put in, and the trees trampled it and death down, which nobody ever climbs on or dares set foot on, except that teenagers get drunk and dare each other to, because that's how teenagers work. But they never talk about the cleanup after Pelennor Fields, which is like 10 times bigger. Like, what the fuck did they do with all those bodies? Did they
That's a
just
great question, and I have
dump,
no idea how they would handle that.
right? Because it's a freaking it's a farming vale. It wasn't just a big fucking field the way it was in the movies. This was a place where people grew crops and shit.
Yeah, I wonder.
Right? And there's enough dead to put for the dew to fall red in the Ramasecor. Like, fuck.
At that point, you probably kind of don't do anything with them. You just have to like burn them if you can find them and let the rest of them rot and just plan to not eat anything you grew on those fields for a couple of years while it composts. Like,
So my oh god, the reek. It would be terrible.
mhm.
You remember though the orcs dug those pits and filled them with fire that were in a half circle. They were like concentric circles.
Oh
So
yeah, there you go. Shove
maybe
everybody
all
in there. Light them on
yeah,
fire again.
or at least the orcs.
Yeah.
You can keep your own men out and make yourself some green fields of France type of battlefield burial ground somewhere, but
The thing with that is it would take so long
to separate everybody out,
to separate everybody out and also to dig any kind of graves, and with the amount of labor that they don't have right now,
right?
I wonder if they did pyres just because that was the only way that they could feasibly do it.
Right? But you gotta, like, humans don't burn well. We're very soggy. So you
Yeah,
would need a lot of wood.
which you wouldn't have because they're fields.
Yeah. So I'm
Um,
like, you know what might work really well, especially since apparently bodies in Middle Earth just decay a lot more slowly because Theoden is laying in state for like 12 days and nobody complains about it.
I mean, if they were
So,
keeping him somewhere cold, he
you
wouldn't
know,
look great, but he might not smell that bad. Anyway,
you know what isn't being utilized anymore by anyone living or dead are the paths of the dead. The dead are gone. It's just a cave. You could take all of your dead soldiers, take them down river because the river drops them off like basically at the Blackroot, the southern entrance to the caves of the paths of the dead, and then you just bury them in.
maybe. But the thing with that is that even if Aragorn says, yeah, the dead are gone, like everything's fine, are you going to be able to convince people who already have PTSD from a giant battle to go into the terribly haunted caves and drop off corpses there? I don't think so.
I don't know, man. Maybe you could get elves to help or something because they don't really give a shit about men's ghosts. Legolas was like for the whole trip.
Oh no, I'm paying attention. Don't worry. Don't worry about me.
Yeah. This is the ghost. This is the ghost trying to bother me. Yeah. I don't know. That's what I would do. Cause yeah. Unless the houses of the dead back behind the sixth circle are a lot bigger than I think though that only kings have been buried there for generations. So maybe
Yeah, so they're probably not that big.
Right.
The other thing you could potentially do is load the dead on the Corsair ships and do like a Viking funeral thing,
Yep.
or
Yep.
even just push the ships down the river and sail them out to sea.
A
Let
ship
let
full
the let
of
the dead of the Pelennor fields follow Boromir into honor and glory.
Assuming there's enough Corsair ships for that. And imagine how gross that would be.
Oh no, hideously gross! Like you'd be able to smell them a week up and down the river by the time they got to the sea.
And then suppose they just drift down the coast.
They have to send out tugboats to tug them into the current. Like everybody's like, burr,
The
burr.
Corsairs are like, our ships are coming back. What's wrong with them? Who's on? Oh, we're
Although,
doing this.
a great way to get them to never attack Minas Tirith again. Like, fuck that dude. You know what they did with our ships the last time we went there? Filled them with rotting corpses and sent them back.
Their own rotting corpses. There's a bunch of dead Gondorians on our ships.
Right? We don't even know what happened to our guys. Nobody's seen them. And somebody just goes, oh yeah, they were eaten by ghosts. What? Yeah, get off my ship. Do not ask me to attack Gondor ever again. Goodbye.
Not happening. I kind of dig the Viking funeral though. Like, get it down to the coast, set fire to it, and push it out into the ocean. Let it sink to the bottom eventually. There
Yeah.
you go. Yeah.
Very dramatic, very honorable, lovely
Yeah.
death. You don't have to think about the smell. It's great.
Or you dismantle the ships and use that wood as your
fire.
pyres.
I realize this would probably not be a consideration. Viking funeral sounds more fun.
It does. It really does. Especially if you just lit it while it's on the river. I think the river is wide enough that a flaming boat sailing downriver would just be, that'd be epic.
Yeah. Dump a little oil on it just to keep it going. Everybody comes out to the shore to cry and wave goodbye and sing songs of honor and valor or whatever.
Yeah, that's it. That's the new headcanon. They used the Corsair ships. Because what the fuck does Gondor need with a navy, especially of ships somebody else built?
Yeah, no,
They don't want
none. They
No.
Nobody needs a navy really in Middle Earth.
Right.
Like, ain't nobody fair in that sea.
Nope. There's only
Except
so
for
far
us.
you can go before they turn you back or sink you or curse you or all of the above. The morning came after the day of battle, and it was fair, with light clouds and the wind turning westward. Legolas and Gimli were early abroad, and they begged leave to go up into the city, for they were eager to see Merry and Pippin. "It is good to learn that they are still alive," said Gimli, "for they cost us great pains in a march over Gondor, and Rohan. And I would not have such pains all wasted." Together the elf and the dwarf entered Minas Tirith, and folk that saw them marvelled to see such companions. For Legolas was fair of face beyond the measure of men, and he sang an elven song in a clear voice as he walked in the morning. But Gimli stalked beside him, stroking his beard and staring about him. "There is some good stone work here," he said as he looked at the walls, "but also some that is less good, and the streets could be better contrived. When Aragorn comes into his own, I shall offer him the service of stone rights of the mountain, and we will make this a town to be proud of." "They need more gardens," said Legolas. "The houses are dead. There is too little here that grows and is glad. If," I love how his attitude is if, and Gimli's is when.
They're my
If
favorite
Aragorn,
Lord of the Rings gay couple, by the way.
they're so
Like, I will accept no platonic explanation for Legolas and Gimli.
no. They just it's the best true love, really, honestly.
Legolas sneaks Gimli into the Undying Lands later.
If
He
Aragorn
walks
comes
in with Gimli and a smoothie, and everyone goes, "What's that?" And he goes, "A smoothie."
Oh, I If Aragorn comes into his own, the people of the wood shall bring him birds that sing and trees that do not die. All of which is just really beautiful sentiment there. Because we know who've done any urban planting that trees that do not die is not something to be taken lightly.
Yeah, anyone who's tried to grow a house plant.
Oh, God.
You know how many houseplants I've killed in the last year? Ugh, it's terrible. I'm gonna get fake ones
I
just so
killed
they
my
look.
pumpkin vine that I was growing outside. I think the soil is kind of crap. At
Hmm.
length they came to the Prince Imra hill,
Who?
and Legolas looked at him and bowed low, for he saw that here indeed was one who had elven blood in his veins. Stop making Imra hill a thing. It's not a thing.
Stop trying to make Imrahil happen. Speaking of incredibly obscure t-shirts we could make.
Oh, I don't have any of these written down. I'm gonna have to like go back in and watch next year and be like, oh yeah, that too
Mm-hmm.
will be a sleeper hit. I'm done reading for tonight because yeah,
Because you just don't want to read about Imrahil.
I don't. And we were like sort of at a stopping place, and I passed it, but yeah.
That's fine. It was worth it to hear about Legolas and Gimli and their lovely gay plans to redecorate their friend's apartment.
It's and they're really good plans.
They're they are really good plans. They're lovely. Like, we're gonna
It's
send you stonemasons. They're gonna rebuild your city. It's gonna look great, and then we'll send you gardeners, and then they'll make gardens in your city, and it'll be fun to live there too.
and the streets can be better contrived. That's some shit you and I were discussing back in chapter whatever we first got here.
That is true. We were. We
Yeah.
were like, wow, that sounds like a terrible setup for a city.
Yeah, like you got to assume that there's alleys that go up straight so that you don't have to walk 4 miles to get to your friend's house that's 20 feet that way.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Gimli saw the same thing. He's like, you know what? I bet I could
I
make
don't
this
know if you
more
and I should be dwarves or city planners, but one way or the other.
definitely dwarfs.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. If I can't be a hobbit, I'll be a dwarf.
I
I'll
was
be a
just
dwarf
thinking,
like
given
Gimli, who is totally unique in the history of dwarfs.
Hmm.
I really, really like Gimli. He's my favorite character in the book.
I was about to say Gimli is also my favorite character in the book. He has my favorite speeches in the book, and yeah.
He has the best things to say, and he has the best um he has the best arc. Like story, if you take his timeline beginning to end, he gets everything. He gets to go to the Undying Land with his gay life mate person to see his own personal goddess who gave him her hair, and he gets the best blessing, that thing she says to him, where your hands shall flow with gold and over you gold shall have no dominion. He gets to be the lord of the glittering caves of Aglarond. Like all of the things. I'm like, if I could be anybody in this fellowship, it would be him.
Yeah, definitely.
Right? How many of the fellowship make it to the Undying Lands? Like 4 of the 5 of the 9. 4.
4, I think, is Legolas, Gimli, Sam, Frodo,
Gandalf.
Gandalf. 5.
5 of the 9. We left behind Aragorn, Boromir, and Merry and Pippin.
Yes. All of whom have very rich, full lives, except for Boromir. Sorry, that was a. I thought about him at the last minute as I was saying that.
All right. I love you. I need to go tuck in, Abby.
I love you too. I'll talk to you later.
Cuidado.
Adios.